Boom. How can I love you better? There's a direct questioning there of like, how can I love you better? Not what do you need to feel more masculine, or what do you need to feel more feminine, or, you know, I know you've got an anxious attachment style, so what do you need to feel safe? Or, you know, these formula bros, they're basic. Yo, lovers. Welcome to Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. We're the O'Neills. You're here with Meg and Jacob.
And this is the place we have really uncensored conversations about sex, intimacy, and relationships. We're super excited you're here. Enjoy this episode. Hi, my man.
Hey, my woman.
Hey, glorious people.
Both men and women. Maybe a dog is listening as well. Hey, lovers.
Hey.
It's actually Jacob here. If you're only listening to the audio.
Are we going to sing this entire episode? Remember when we first got the podcast equipment and you were just really into singing?
Nothing's changed. I'm still really into singing.
But whenever you'd put the headphones on, it would just be like you just...
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of reels from Modern Family, and I feel like I'm a bit like Cam, one of the gay dudes on there. That's just super into
expressive.
He's expressive.
I love it.
I would love for this to turn into this this podcast concept to evolve into a musical.
Gee, Sex, Love, and Everything in Between, the musical.
Yeah.
Would it be us still in conversation about our sex life and just?
I think it would just be me. I think it'd be a solo show. I think I'd take it solo.
Yeah, I'd support you. I'd produce.
Yes,
I'll produce and direct.
I don't think you'd get me back though. I think I would become a method actor and I would stay in character for the rest of my life.
Oh God.
But that's not what we're here for today. We're not here to talk about my hopes and dreams. At all. That's not at all the topic today. Let's put that to the side.
Do you want to banter about anything else before we dive in, or? It's probably been a few weeks.
Oh, yeah, it's been a minute
since people have heard us together.
Yeah.
I think we've had a few guest episodes. Yeah,
the podcast has been humming along. It's become this like constant in our lives. So when we have a few weeks where we have some guest episodes, it can feel a little it's like, oh, what's been happening?
Yeah, we don't actually talk between episodes.
I've been away. Well, I have been.
You have been away a lot.
I have.
Yeah, which has actually been great for us.
It's been incredible. It's been incredible for you.
Yeah, it really has. You've been away even since I got pregnant. You have been away so much. Probably like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
You've been away probably every month.
Oh yeah,
at
easy,
least,
if not twice a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am someone that can, if I had my choice, I would spend every single moment of every single day with you.
I think
and I've had to like obviously not do that. I haven't had the option to do that.
It's different too when we work from home. Like it's like that's really important to me, being able to go away, because like I don't go to an office and hang out with other people. So if I'm not doing those sort of things regularly, I'm just at home in the office by myself and you're the only other person in the house. So it can become quite I can feel quite consumed by my home life.
Home life, aka
my home wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that where you've actually been going out to all your other wives?
All my other wives, yeah.
But no, it's been really good, because if you're not away, or say there's like a weekend where you're not away, I would just assume that we're hanging out all weekend long and I won't make other plans sometimes.
Yes, that's true.
It's been so beautiful, because I've been, really just like leaning into my sisters more. And it's so much easier now where we live, because we were living quite isolated. So yeah, I've just been loving that.
Palm Beach has been great for your
my aliveness.
Yeah, your community spirit.
Yes.
Your social spirit.
So I've loved that. Also realized, even though I love, this is one of my favorite things about our partnership, I love how much you do for me. And I love, I have long gone is like the independent woman part of me that's like, I don't need a man. Like, I love needing a man.
I'm going to need a man.
I love outsourcing a man. I love
that.
I do love.
I ain't doing this shit. I ain't doing that.
I am the best outsourcer to men. Even like, when we were at you were at Vision Quest and I was like part of the Vision Quest support team.
Yeah.
And you were obviously on the mountain. I didn't have access to you. And you'd put my swag up and put like the tarp over my swag.
Yes.
And then I really wanted that all to be done when you came off the mountain before we left. But I was like, I potentially could work out how to do it and struggle by myself. Could definitely put the swag down by myself. I didn't want to. But I was like, I'm just going to ask another man. Like, a man will like love helping me. I just know, I've come to learn that about men, that men love being wanted and needed and love adding value in that way. So yeah, I asked a beautiful man there, Jack, and he was just like stoked to help me out. And it was like so beautiful.
There's an art to that, obviously, not to take advantage of a man's, wanting to help, obviously.
No. Do you think I do take advantage?
Do I take advantage of that?
Do I?
Maybe.
Do I take advantage of
Sometimes I think you might.
Maybe I take advantage of you.
Take advantage of me every now and then. Shock in your face then. No, I think you're very artful at it. Like you are very conscious of when you are like, this is something I genuinely don't want to do. That number one. And there's someone here that would want to do it for me. Yes. That's and there's a difference between like enabling, that part of you versus actually like using it to create like, meaning.
Totally. And when you were away like last month and you were like really at capacity in life and before our grass needed mowing. And I was like, you're away. And I was like, I really want you to come back and know that you don't have to do that job. I really want you to come back and like look at the lawn and it be mowed and you just be like, like one less thing to do. I don't have to think about that anymore. That doesn't have to take up space in my mind and my head. So I really wanted that. And at first I was like, I'm going to outsource this to another man. Like I was going to call like Jack Brazier or like someone in our life to come and mow the lawn because I know there would be many men in our life that knew that you're away, obviously I'm pregnant, all of these things that they would have really like stepped up and done that.
Totally.
And then over like you're away for a few days and over those few days, I was like, actually, I think I can fucking do this.
You know what?
I don't need a man. I was like, I think I'm actually going to try and mow a lawn. And I've never mowed a lawn in my life. I grew up with my mum always mowing the lawn. My mum and dad are still together, but my mum had like a whole mowing outfit. She had shoes. She took pride in mowing the lawn. But like, that's just, I get it now after mowing my first lawn, but yeah. And so our friend Susie was here. I don't think I would have done it unless she was here because she helped me work out how to start the mower and do it. And then she was just hanging out as I was mowing the lawn. And it was so satisfying. And then I was mowing the front lawn and it was so fucking hilarious because our friend Kristen arrived and she didn't know she was coming for a sleepover and she didn't know that I was mowing the lawn. And here I am, like, I would have been like, probably 6.5 months, 7 months pregnant. And like, and my belly was out. I'm mowing the front lawn and she's pulling into our driveway. She's like, what the fuck? What is happening? But yeah, so moral of the story is that it's been fun having you away for my friendships and deepening my friendships, but also realizing how capable I am.
Yeah.
Because that's something I, maybe don't really allow myself to expand into.
And I can be a little bit of a control freak with things as well. Like I can like want to do everything.
Yeah, like I think if you were home and I said I want to mow the lawn, you'd be like, no, I'll do it. That's my job.
I would not let that. I couldn't sit in the house and watch you mow the lawn. Pregnant or not, I could not watch that. That would make me feel sick.
What part of it?
It just wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't, in my head, in my, I don't care how traditional or how old school or how gender specific that is. I do not care. I would just say, no, I've got to do it. I couldn't. What would I be doing? Sitting down and just
watching.
No, I couldn't. No, there's no way on earth. I grew up.
I kind of like that. Like I don't want to be out there. Doing. I like that we have, there's certain roles in the home that you do, and I don't have to think about it all.
Totally.
I don't know if there's things that I do and you don't have to think about.
Even if you did do them, I think I'd still think about whether you're doing them right or not, and then I'd have to double check.
Yeah.
Because I have control issues.
Well, we're potentially calling this episode From Control to Surrender. Maybe you should take some notes.
Maybe I should definitely learn a thing or two from this episode. No, it's okay. I'm not a control freak.
You do say you are all the time, but I don't feel that from you. I don't feel that and maybe you just do a really good job of hiding it.
I just have an incredibly
maybe your
powerful,
internal landscape is on fire when I'm doing certain things, but
it is. And that's
but I feel that you've gotten good at navigating that.
Yeah, I'm very good at owning that need to change things, or that need for things to be
done a certain way.
Yeah, done a certain way.
Yeah. And I think so many couples would resonate with that. Like, especially if you're sharing a home with someone and, sharing household tasks, like there's usually one person in the relationship that likes things done a very particular way. That is not me. What's that meme on Instagram? And it's like
about the dishwasher.
The dishwasher. It's like one person. What is the? You probably get it better than me.
One person stacks the dishwasher like something architect, and the other.
You're like a Swedish architect or like something.
And the other person stacks it like a wild badger searching through the bins for food.
I've gotten but I'm actually really proud of myself in the last probably like 18 months. I feel like I have really stepped up my housewife game.
Tell me more.
That was you raised at the end. You
what?
Said,
I just went, tell me more.
That was not like, I agree. That was not, I appreciate that. That's questionable.
No, it wasn't.
That was.
What do you mean?
Hey, celebrate being a housewife.
You did rock up to the front door with banana bread for me when I got home. So you have been an incredible housewife.
And I'm better at cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm really good at cleaning the kitchen now and like taking care, especially since we've moved here. I feel like I'm way tidier and cleaner and like.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually don't feel like you're agreeing.
Permission to speak openly?
Yeah.
Just the last 2 mornings with the eggs in the fry pan. that's just been too much for me. Like the way they
really?
Yeah. That's just the only thing.
And that sucks because when you've been away, I've been so on. Like when you're away, I cooked a woman in our community that we met at the dog park just gave birth, and I like made 2 meals for her and made banana bread for her and made meals for our home and cleaned up and delivered those meals. And I just did so much when you're away. And then when you got home, I was so tired. So I said I was going to cook for you, and then I didn't. And then So.
But I would say
I'm a great housewife when you're not here.
Overall, that was me just being a bit cheeky. But yeah, besides the last 2 mornings, every other morning, I think it's like one of those things, you got to let your partner learn those things as well. You can't expect your partner to just be good at everything you're good at, or expect them to
care about
service.
Care about.
Yes, service your your comfort. Service your comfort levels always.
Yeah.
And you can respect each other, but you have to be able to like share without projection what's important to you.
Yeah, and one of those ways you got really good at that because and this was something that I would communicate earlier in our relationship when I realized that, because you did pretty much everything in the house.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't cooking, I wasn't cleaning, I wasn't doing anything. And then it got to a point where you were like, I don't even know if you expressed this, but I don't even know how it came forth.
I think it was, I actually do remember it was when we were in Kite Street and I just couldn't walk through the walk-in wardrobe to get to the bathroom. And I was just like, something has to change. I'm actually going to I'm going to flip my lid.
Guys, I can be just like feral.
But it's just like, it's so polarizing.
In what way?
Compared to like, I'm like, because I grew up in I grew up in a house with 6 people, like 3, and like we had one bathroom and we all shared the same bathroom. And like, we were never allowed to leave our clothes anywhere. Like, it was always put your clothes in the washing basket or put them away. And then I worked in a clothes store, so I was like hyper pedantic about how, my clothes are folded and put away, and I like to keep things clean and tidy. And then it was like you'd never ever folded a piece of clothing.
There could be some truth to that.
Or like,
I grew up in a house where my mum would bring me breakfast in bed as a teenager before school. Mm-hmm. And like she'd ask us to clean our room and I'd throw everything under my bed or in my cupboard and she'd be like, oh, Maggie. That's like my mum would do everything for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I love my mum for it. I don't think it supported me to have great life skills.
Yeah, because I was ironing like as a 15-year-old. I'd iron all my own clothes and I was very particular about the things. I think that also comes back to like we never, like, it was a real big thing to have like a nice, like I feel like we weren't poor but we weren't rich, so to have nice things was really, whenever I got something nice I was really, really like, became a really important thing to me.
Yeah.
So like if I got a new t-shirt, it was like, wow. Or if I got something new, it was like, this is like, all right, I'm going to look after this.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas
But not all your siblings would be like that.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's just me, actually.
Yeah, it is just you.
Yeah. But I just really learned that. And then you were the complete opposite. And it was like, I didn't want to make you feel wrong, right? I didn't want to be like, you're wrong for doing it this way. But I also didn't know how to like, hey, like, this is important to me.
Yes, and what I would witness early in our relationship is that you would just redo things.
Yeah.
Like even when I tried to help around the house, you would just redo them.
Yes.
And so it got to a stage where I just almost like tapped out.
And it's so undermining.
I just never felt... I always felt like anything I did was going to be wrong, so I may as well not try. And you were always going to redo everything that I did, from like hanging the clothes on the line because I wasn't hanging them right, or folding your clothes again, or, stacking the dishwasher, or washing the dishes, like all the things, you just redo them. So there was part of me that was like, what's the point? He can just do them anyway. And so then I
don't even like using a dishwasher because I don't like how it washes the stuff. So like that's a little... No, I'm not in the healthy category either. Like there's
You use a dishwasher now.
Yeah, no.
Oh no.
No, I don't. If I have a choice, I don't use it.
If you clean up, yeah.
I'd only use it if someone else is in the kitchen with me stacking it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was our relationship for quite a few years, where you just like carried the weight of everything around the house pretty much. Like I would cook, but like you did a whole lot. And then I remember that really came out a few years ago, maybe three years ago, when I was sharing that pain of like, hey, I really want to support us and I really want to show up in the house. And every time I do, I feel like I don't get it right. And every time I do, like, I don't see the point in being able to do that.
Totally.
And that was really powerful, because then you got to then understand that. I think that was an invitation for you to release a little bit of control.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just remembering like when I'd watch you, like you'd be like, oh, I'm going to cook dinner. I'm like, all right, I'll just help you get some stuff out of the kitchen, and I'll just chop the onions then. I'll just and I'll start just like, I'll put the slow cooker, I'll do the oil. And then it's just like, I'm like, I'm just like.
Oh, you're like slowly taking over. And I'm like, oh, look how beautiful this is. It's helping me.
It's like, no, I don't trust you. That's because
that's a big piece that I realized and I brought to you. I was like, I can feel you want, and you would sometimes joke and say like, I always felt like I would marry like a woman that just like would bake muffins and be in the like, you know, like a very traditional housewife. And I would get really offended by that because I would be like, hey, I want to try and be that for you, but you won't even fucking let me. Like it's not even a safe environment for me to even try and be that. I don't have space to try and be that.
To develop that. Like it's like, I just expect, you know, it's like if you can't do it perfectly, then don't do it at all.
Yes.
Which is so conditional. Yeah. Which is so unfair. And then also the other piece was like when you like I like learning how to support you in the cultivation of that. Like you'd cook something and I'd eat it, but then I wouldn't comment on it. And you would be like, well, is this not the greatest thing you've ever eaten?
And you would always say to me, your meals are in both my top 5 meals I've ever eaten and my bottom 5.
It's either really good or really shit.
You can be a real dick sometimes.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how much that mattered to me until our friend Jack lived with us last year. He lived with us for 3 or 4 months. And Jack would come home from work and he would be like, Megsy, I'm craving your banana bread. Can you make me that banana bread you make? I've just been thinking about it all day. And I would be like, yes. Like, and then I would make like this bolognese that he loved and he would just sit and he would eat and he'd be like, he was just so expressive about it. Like, this is the best bolognese I've ever eaten. You're so good at making this. And I just wanted to feed him. I was just like, I'll make more banana bread. I'll make bolognese. What else do you need? Like, that just helped, like appreciation. And this is true for any part of someone. When something is appreciated, we want to bring that part of us more. And
especially if it's something you're cultivating as well, something that you may not be that confident in.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that was something that I really expressed to you. Like, hey, I would actually love to feel more of your appreciation around like my food. And you were like,
well, you're going to have to cook something better then.
You were like, well, I just don't like some of the stuff you cook. Because the stuff that you love, I was like, okay, well, what do you love? Like, I want to cook things you love. You're like steak and veggies.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's boring to cook. But then I was really intentional about, okay, instead of just making things that I love or I love cooking, I'm going to start cooking more of the things you love and be intentional about that. And you did become very appreciative.
Yeah, I'm not
Jack level of appreciative, but
yeah, but he's a saucy guy. He likes saucy foods. Like he likes to like.
But when I wasn't cooking, but how about when I'm cooking you steak and veggies?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm grateful, but I'm not like. I don't turn it in like it's like I like that food. Like, this is good. Yum. This is good food. I'm not going to turn it into it's not like a drama show.
When I have asked for it, you have.
Yeah, no,
you have been more intentional about it, expressing.
But like, I like foods that aren't as saucy. I'm not a saucy food person.
It's not about the sauciness of the food.
Yeah, I know. But for me, that was like, there was a few meals that you made where he was like really expressive. And I was like, well, I'll eat them. And I just don't genuinely, like, they're not my first pick. But I love when you cook steak and you make vegetables like roast potatoes, pumpkin, zucchini and broccoli. And that on a plate, happy days.
You're a simple guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm actually making spaghetti bolognese tonight. And remember Are
you still going to make it?
I was just thinking about what episode did we talk about the chicken soup and the chicken soup saga? Because I oh God. I also love that we were going to talk about something totally different on today's episode. Oh God. Remember how we had a whole episode about how I was making chicken soup regularly, and because I thought for me chicken soup represented like nurturing and nourishing, and that just feels like such a loving meal for me. Even like the woman in our community that just had a baby just made her like delicious chicken soup. What I see as delicious chicken soup. And what was it we were talking about on that episode that you'd come in and you were like it was about resentment. Do you remember?
Yeah. I came in and I can't remember, like you were making chicken soup and I was just like, why? Why are you making why do you think that that's what I want? Did you even ask me if I like chicken soup? I haven't told you that I like it or not, but you haven't. How dare you? How dare you make chicken soup? I think I came in and I was like, oh, I won't have it. I'll just have a steak or something. I was like,
I was sad.
I'm not having what you're cooking. I'm going to have something else.
Because my internal dialogue was like, look at what a beautiful housewife I am, and like making winter chicken soup for my husband. And you were like, fuck you.
I was like,
all of that was internal. You weren't expressing that, which was part of the issue.
It's hard. Like this is all part of like, you've got to be able to laugh. Otherwise you'll just cry, right? Or you can do both like you do. There's like, this is like classic nice guy too. It's like, oh, you're doing a nice thing for me. I don't want to give you negative feedback. I don't want to like criticize you, but I also don't love chicken soup. So how do I actually appreciate what the action that you're taking, and then give you healthy feedback around, okay, like next time don't make chicken soup, make what I want. How do you do that?
I don't suggest doing it in that way.
But it's like, oh, like, thank you so much, my love. You know what else I love to eat? Or you know what I'd love? I really love this.
Yeah.
And be like, how can we give our partner better information so they can love us in the ways that we desire to be loved?
Yes, because underneath me cooking the chicken soup and like the banana bread and wanting to be appreciated was this part of me that wanted to serve you. It's like, it's like this inner housewife that wanted you to be well fed and wanted you to feel like nourished, and and so but I just didn't have the information on how. I thought I was doing that right, but not having the right information on how to do that really well.
This is why you can't just say, what's your love language? Like, oh, cool, acts of service. All right, I'm going to make you dinner. And then you make food, but then it's like, oh, that's not actually the food that I love. So it's like not actually hitting the spot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, physical touch is your love language. All right, let me just touch you there.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, it's like, cool. Like that's not, how would you like to be touched?
Yeah.
Like, work out that information and then provide it to your partner. What do I love to eat? Oh, cool. I'm going to share that information with you so you know how to love me better through the action that like really fills my cup.
And when we had that conversation after Jack lived with us, and I was like, oh, that really fed a part of me, like that level of appreciation, and I'd love to feel more of that from you. And then it came through that you hated every single one of my meals. No, it came through that it wasn't that you weren't appreciative of me cooking. It was that, you'd prefer a different meal. So I was like, okay, like tell me what you'd love more of. And that was then great information. And yeah. And I think it's this is something we are like phenomenal at, and you have been phenomenal at this skill for a while. I have gotten there.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Go for it.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
You say it.
Not taking things personally.
Yes.
Like our ability, even right now, to laugh at what we've moved through and to like see the lightness in it. It doesn't mean that it can feel heavy and gritty. It doesn't feel heavy and gritty at the time, but to be able to like, to be able to be like, oh, you don't like some of my cooking. That's fine. Like that. I'm not going to make that mean that you're a dick or like, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and if we are making that mean something in our relationship, it's so beautiful to just be able to express that.
Yeah, 100%. And there's just the little tweaks in the way that we communicate that allow it to be an open dialogue rather than a pointed finger of like you versus this is what's here.
Yeah.
So for instance, like with, you know, if there's a way to stack something in the dishwasher that I think is the right way to do it.
Yes.
And you're doing it a different way, I don't go over and like huff and puff and change it. I say, hey, lover, can I show you something real quick that I think may be helpful? Yes.
And I think what I've learned in our relationship is that I thought you were trying to like whisper something to me that don't say that. What I've learned in our relationship is to not take that personally. Like I've learned one of the ways that I can love you is to listen in those moments and to like, because the way I don't give a fuck how I stack the dishwasher, but to actually listen and be like, oh, you prefer all the forks here and you prefer the nut and that? Okay, amazing. That would take me maybe a few extra seconds, but I love this man and this would make this man feel really loved and I'm going to do that.
The piece is like, how do you bring it to your partner with open dialogue and be vulnerable enough to let them know that it actually is important to you.
Yeah.
So that dishwasher thing is like, hey, that's important to me because when I unpack it, it means that cup, when it's stacked sideways, it's not full of water. Mm-hmm. Or the knives and forks are all separate, so I can just grab them all, boom, and place them straight into the cutlery drawer. It's like, cool, there's these things that like they're important to me, and then I can explain why they're important to me. And like understanding someone's reason for why they like something the way they like it is so powerful. And it's like same sort of thing with the food. It's like, hey, I love you cooking for me and here's what I like to eat. Like that's important information. That makes things so much easier. It takes the guesswork out of it and allows both of us to be fed by the way that we love each other.
I've just remembered another meal that you love of mine right now.
Which one?
My slow cooked massaman curry.
I do like that, yes.
Sorry?
I do like that, yes.
Sorry?
I love it.
Yes.
Oh my God. Can you please make that for me? Oh my God, I would love Maggie.
Well, I'm planning on slow cooking it tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Perfect. I would love that. Don't bait me. Don't bait me like that. Not on the podcast. Not on the podcast. Okay. I do enjoy your massaman curry and the way that you cook the rice. Very, very good.
That is, thank you.
I just don't like the word delicious either. I think that's, I'm funny about words. Delicious. It just doesn't, I don't like the way that it rolls off my tongue. I don't like very good is a statement that I like to use, or that tastes real good.
Yeah, you're not an overly expressive man.
I am. It's just I use a different medium.
Sorry, that is wrong. You're a very expressive man.
Yeah.
What's the medium you use?
Dance, song.
Okay, the next time you love a meal of mine, I would like you to
dance it.
Dance, sing, some kind of creative expression.
Perfect. I'll do that. I'd much rather that than say the word delicious. Well, here I am in my truth.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I guess you'll know whether I like it or not.
My love, if you are a woman that deeply desires to be claimed, cherished, chosen, ravished in partnership, whether you are currently in partnership or not, you are going to want to join me here on the Gold Coast in July. I am holding an in-person immersion for 3 entire days devoted to breathing down the walls of your heart, opening your body, liberating your expression, and becoming a woman able to be claimed, cherished, and chosen in partnership. I have not run an in-person event or a women-only event in a very long time. And given the baby I'm about to have, I will not for a while after this. So this is a very special opportunity to come and work with me in person with a very intimate amount of women. We are going to go deep. It is going to be an unforgettable 3 days. And if you are feeling the call to join us, come and apply ASAP. There is limited spaces. You're going to want to go to the link in the show notes or meg-o'neill.com/claimed-immersion, or just head to my Instagram. All the information is there. Can't wait to be with you. Okay, what else do we want to talk about?
Well, that's a 34-minute intro. We're ready to talk about the next.
Well, I think that's the podcast now.
I think it'd be cool to talk about just while we're on this topic. I don't know what this podcast is going to be called, but what we're talking about is for me is how do we actually understanding your partner. There's so much focus on polarity and a lot of stuff in the relationship space that people talk to, and we've been together nearly 10 years, so we've got a longer term experience of being together. But if you're in a relationship, having things that you can understand about each other and be able to honor in each other, this is next level getting to know each other. There's okay, I know what you do, I know what your likes and dislikes are, but how do I know how to communicate how I like to be loved? And can I communicate how I like to be loved with openness and understanding, and have the vocabulary to be able to help you or be able to show you that this is important to me.
And then am I receptive to the information my partner brings me on how they would like to be loved?
Yes.
I think that's a very important piece, and that takes practice.
Mm-hmm. And then once I've given the information, can I trust and stay open to receiving it and allow my partner to develop in that area rather than just expecting them to be perfect?
Yeah, you've communicated about the dishwasher once, and then you're just stalking around the kitchen as he unstacks the dishwasher or stacks the dishwasher, and you're just they're not doing it right.
Yeah, and cheap shots in relationships. People think, oh yeah, it's fun to have banter and this sort of stuff, and that's true. But if you're if you take the piss a little too much in these realms, and when someone's this can be really vulnerable for someone who is developing, whether it's, stacking the dishwasher, or someone that's starting to explore another skill, and they're learning and they're a beginner. Imagine what it would be like to be a child if you saw a child learning something and you just started making fun of them for it, or you kept on criticizing and criticizing and criticizing. That's essentially what you're doing to your partners. Beginner part in the one that's learning, that needs encouragement, not critical analysis.
Yes.
And I think that's super important. I like to think it was oh, cool. This is you. You talk about this, especially with celebrating the little things that men get right. It's we can apply this to loving each other in this relationship. It's if you are, showing up in an area of life that you are, wanting to develop in, I get to support you in that. I get to cheer you on. I get to really see you and your willingness. And rather than just see whether or not you're doing it the way I need you to do it at a level that, which is just caked in expectation.
I was going to say something and then I got distracted. The baby was moving so much just then.
Was she?
A wild amount.
Oh.
You can probably see it. That's so cool. I was going to say, curiosity. Curiosity is one of the greatest things we can bring to our relationship. And like you said, a long-term partnership especially. And you said this too, that there is so much focus on polarity and passion and all these things, which yes, are important.
So important.
And yes, is what a lot of people are craving in longer term partnership is the passion and the intimacy and the connection again. But that means shit if you're just trying to paste, you know, a formula of polarity, or just these like, oh, I'm going to ask her on it, I'm going to initiate, like, if you're just going to paste that on a relationship where there's no curiosity, you're not able to communicate what it is you desire or want, you're not open to receiving, you know, how your partner wants to be loved better, you're not open to the information you bring them, there isn't a shared value of understanding each other better and understanding how to love each other better. Like that's like the foundational piece to deep long-term partnership.
Yeah.
If we lose that curiosity and just expect our partner is always going to be the same. Yeah, like we just consistently need to be bringing this sense of curiosity. And one of my favorite questions, and we ask each other this regularly, is like, how can I love you better? What can I do to love you better? And that's just such a stunning question, because sometimes we just assume that we're doing the things to make our partner feel loved, or maybe not. Maybe we just like haven't even thought of that. We're just living our life and expecting them to do different things or wanting more from them, but we're not actually sitting with the question like, wow, how am I doing at loving my partner right now? Wow, have I actually gotten curious as to what would make them feel loved and appreciated and supported? Can I actually just ask them that question and then, you know, devote myself to really loving them in that way? Like, if that was truly just the one thing you did in your relationship consistently over and over and over again, like, boom. How can I love you better? There's a direct questioning there of like, how can I love you better? Not what do you need to feel more masculine, or what do you need to feel more feminine, or, you know, I know you've got an anxious attachment style, so what do you need to feel safe? Or, you know, these formula bros, they're basic. They're basic, and they serve a place. You know, I just came out of a facilitator training. We taught like deep, you know, structuring around the archetypes, and it's beautiful. But that, you know, they're only there to facilitate, you know, the surface level understanding, so you can dive deep. They're only there to like give you sort of a starting point, and rather than, and this is what I see, and it just drives me up the fucking wall, is like, especially I see it I don't work with women, so I see it more in men, is that they take the formula and then they copy and paste. And they copy and paste, and they copy and paste, and they copy and paste, and they think that this is going to get them where they want to go, when in actual fact it's just a protective mechanism that they use to stop themselves from ever getting hurt and ever actually having to open up and expose themselves to the potential of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. But the thing is that a relationship is going to shine a light on those parts regardless. And that is the gift of a relationship, that is actually serving, you know, the depths of your journey here on earth as a fucking living soul embodied in a body. You get the opportunity to find someone who's going to shine a light on all of the unhealed wounding from your childhood, from your upbringing, from past relationships, so that hopefully you two can together be courageous in healing and almost loving each other back to wholeness, back to the truth, which is that you are whole and you always were. So fuck the formulas. Yeah. And I think the labels, were you going to say something then?
I just really wish people understood that the formulas are frameworks. They're not these. They're not when I say formula, I mean this and this means that if I put this with this, I get this. That's not how it works. A framework is a living entity that allows you to almost like take stock of where you're at and how you can calibrate.
Yeah, and you've got to bring your presence and attunement to that framework and into the moment that you're placing that framework on.
Yes.
Right? I think if we're if we're just putting so many labels on and formulas into our relationship, like, oh, this is your anxious attachment coming out, or this, you're being avoidant right now in this moment. We're actually just getting so fucking caught up in the labels and the formula, and we're not actually meeting and supporting the person that is in front of us. like it can be really supportive to understand things like, oh, I have an anxious attachment style and my partner has an avoidant and this is what's playing out. I think there is a time and a place for understanding that. And then there comes a time and a place to let that the fuck go in relationship. Right. And to stop. I see women do this all the time, labeling their partner. Like, oh, this is he's avoidant. He's this, he's not masculine. Right? And it's like, actually, can you release him from the label and just see the human that is in front of you? And can you actually become curious as to not what the books or the teachers or whatever tell you should happen in that moment? Can you actually become curious with him? Can you ask him questions? Have you tuned into him and asked him what he needs in that moment? What would feel most loving to him? What would feel most supportive to him? What's going on for him? What's alive? Like dialoguing with the human in front of you instead of trying to label them. And
Totally. I'm just like that exact thing is like, this is the whole concept of our training that we did for the guys last week was like, where are you letting the formula give you a right or wrong answer? You're avoidant. That's wrong. You need to be this. You're attached. That's wrong. You need to be this. Versus, okay, here's a framework that's living and breathing and allows me to work with the energy that's here in this moment by attuning to what is actually required from me.
Oh, got you. So you're saying there's a difference between a formula and a framework.
Correct, because the formula is like, this is right, this is wrong. A formula, like if you think about mathematics, 1 + 1 = 2. So that's right. 1 + 1 does not equal 3. So that's wrong. So like, but a framework, 1 + 1 could equal 1,000. 1 + 1 could equal 2. It's like, it's a living, breathing entity, and it doesn't actually stay. It's not fixed. A framework is not fixed. It allows you to move, laterally, linearly. You move in cycles, and that to me is what creates true facilitation, true embodiment and attunement. Which, if you look at it, a relationship, it requires two people to facilitate, like a deeper connection. And if you're not facilitating, or like if you're not being a practitioner and you're not like attuning to what's right there, you're just throwing the book at it. That's what we see happen in the Western world. We're just like, here, what's the book say? And it's just basic. And
it's an avoidance sometimes of vulnerability. Like
yes.
It's not vulnerable to sit in a moment and be in a moment of tension with your partner and then say, you're just being avoidant right now. I'm trying to meet you and you're being avoidant. This is your avoidant attachment. Like, that's not vulnerable. What would be vulnerable in that moment would be, ow, it hurts when I bring my heart to you, you close and I feel like you withdraw. And I feel like you pull away from me, and that really hurts because my deepest desire is to feel you and to experience deeper intimacy together. Like, do you feel the vulnerability in that? And that's not going, you're this, you're doing something wrong in this moment. It's like, you're actually you're revealing. The practice of revealing. It's making it about you instead of labeling them or making it about them. That's like this is like the deepest practice I teach women. And I think the deepest thing, especially as women, that we can do that can shift the dynamic of moments of tension and certain patterns that keep playing out in relationship is to shift the attention from you're doing this, you're being avoidant, you're not masculine, you're whatever it is, to actually going like sharing the ouch, sharing the like what is going down in your body. Yeah. And that takes such a depth of vulnerability, and that's often why we avoid that practice.
Yeah.
And yet that's why it is a portal to deeper intimacy, because vulnerability is a necessary ingredient to deeper intimacy. You can't have deeper intimacy without a level of vulnerability. It's just not possible.
And you can't really have intimacy if you're not in your body. If you're not deeply connected to your body. And that's the thing. It's like vulnerability means that you're going to feel.
Yeah.
You've got to feel things. And if you haven't been taught how to feel, or if you've been taught how not to that feeling is wrong, then you're going to look for the formulas to keep you safe from feeling and give you access to things without having to actually, give or have any skin in the game. And we see this with, this is something I've been struggling with this, online, is just seeing, the difference between, we're having conversations with our bro Kev around this and being like, you've got to find, you've got to be willing to stay in the, with our businesses, you've got to be willing to be in the arena, but at the same time, trust that, people are going to feel the depth of your work, even when there's other people out there saying the same things or trying to say the same things without the level of embodiment that we may be working with. And this is something, I have many people come to me, and I've only just recently realized this, is that a lot of the people that I've looked up to, or looked at, and I'm like, oh wow, they've got it all together. It's like, these, when I've met them or I've had connections, I'm like, this is just people who are really good at remembering information. These are not people that have gone out and deeply woven the work into their DNA, into their flesh, into their blood, into their bones. No, they've literally not lived it. They've just really good at retaining information. They're just like a fucking hard drive. They're a walking USB, and it lacks potency, it lacks depth, and it doesn't fucking land. And I'm not calling people out, but like there's also the people that only ever like get the wallow in their feelings and never actually develop the structural integrity to be able to communicate or translate what's going on for them and healthily communicate it with their partner. There's also that side of it, which for me is like what I've been working on. I was like, I'm feeling something. How do I not close off? How do I come in and give you a deeper understanding as to what's going on in my body without coming in and just blasting you with a whole lot of raw emotion? How do I come in and deliver it artfully?
You did that really beautifully today.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, I just come in and I share the pieces that are really alive for me without it needing to be this huge, big story. It's like, hey, this is what's real for me, and this is where and I'm learning that the more I honor my sensitivity and my tenderness, the better able I am to receive your love.
Yes.
And you don't have to force. It's not like you're trying to force. Like here's like 100 points of love. But I'm like, for me to get 2 points, you have to give me 100. You're like, here's 100, and hopefully 2 will stick. It's like, if I actually honor my sensitivity, honor my tenderness, and do what I need, come in and communicate with you and stay open, all of those 100 hit me rather than just 2. It's like, this is how that love's always been there. I just haven't had the awareness nor the courage to stay open for it to land in my body.
And I would say that is the practice of revealing, right? Like today you walked in and I would say...
We've got to turn that heater off, my love. I'm about to boil. Sorry.
Okay. We'll finish up in a second anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got really agitated. Probably because I just shared really vulnerably.
Yeah. I don't know whether...
That's all right. No, I can stay.
Okay. You could take your shirt off.
Yeah, I know.
You'd have to take your beanie off.
Yeah.
Just for context, like your pattern would usually be to withdraw. Like you don't let me in when you're experiencing, or in the past you have struggled to let me in when you're experiencing some, like, whatever it is going on, or I have to ask you a lot, or like really kind of pull it out of you. And why today felt so special was you walked in and you just like, I didn't ask, and you just started to just share what was alive, and that you were feeling tender, and I was sitting down and you just lay in my lap.
That's very unusual.
You've never done that. Like, and it was just so beautiful. And immediately I just started touching you and massaging you and, just listening and loving on you. And yeah, it was like you were choosing. It was like, I want you to love me right now. And that is the practice of revealing it, saying, hey, like this is what's alive for me. And then we can like from that place, we can also ask, it would feel really good for me right now if you touched me. Can you massage me? Can you remind me everything's going to be okay? Can you reflect back my power? Can you cook for me tonight? Like, can you cook my favorite bolognese tonight? But yeah, I think something's landing for me here because I speak so much about the art of revealing with women, but it's like that's a practice like men have to get so comfortable with as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think for men, it's like it's like the art of like, no, I don't want to call it revealing. That feels far too feminine, but it is. It's like it's this. Hey, I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah,
this is where I'm at, and that's really great information for me to share with you because then you know, he's not trying to avoid me. He's just like he's literally just sensitive right now. He's tender. Yeah. He's going through something. So therefore, I can love him through this, and in me loving him through this, I'm going to receive deeply, the man that I know he is.
Yes.
And you spoke, we would go full circle, you spoke about how men love to be asked. I think women love to be let in.
Yeah. Yes. That's so many women in my world. And I felt this frustration too in our relationship at times. But I think you even went on the art of loving a man yesterday in our Q&A. You said, who here feels frustrated by their man sometimes? And every single woman put their hand up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could ask a group of men who feels frustrated or like whatever.
Yeah. Who feels unappreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. But I know for a lot of women, the frustration comes from not feeling their man, like not feeling like they have access to his inner world or what's alive for him. Because, one of the assumptions that I teach women to make in relationship is assume your man, and again, it's not then ignoring red flags and everything at the beginning of a relationship, but assume your man really wants to love you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's the same for women. Like we deeply want to love and serve our men. Like at our core, we really deeply do. And we become frustrated when we don't have the right information on how to do that properly.
Okay, so assume he really wants to love you.
Yes.
And then for a man, it'd be like, assume she really cares about what's going on.
Yeah.
Assume she really cares about what's going on for you.
Yeah.
Because she does. So if you share that, she is going to care.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think there's been so much focus on, like, for me, I'm like, assume, assume, he wants to love you really well. And for women, it's like, she wants to care for you. And I think that's a great assumption. If you're going to make an assumption, bro, it's like, that's the one. Like, hey, sharing this with her is important because she cares about me. And when I say she cares about me, she cares about all of me, not just the me that's easy or powerful or purposeful or the provider or the protector. So she cares about the part of me that is sensitive, that is challenged, that is facing adversity, that is feeling less than.
And often as women, we need to feel intimately connected. We need to feel like your heart connected to our heart in order to want to open our body and to have a sexual experience together.
Totally.
A lot of women override that and just have sexual experiences when there isn't that intimacy and connection. But a lot of the time we require that in order to really unfurl and really feel turned on in our relationships and in our sex life. And this is one of the things I think men really need to know, that like you express, like it's a turn on when a man actually, like for me today, and you walked away and I was like, hey, that meant so much to me. It meant so much to me that you just lay down in my arms, and it meant so much to me that you just, shared what was going on for you. And it wasn't as if I was just like rippling with turn on them, but I was open and I felt deeply connected to you. And like offer, if you're a man listening, like really practice bringing yourself to her and like just without her having to really fucking dig and pull and force you open, can you practice vulnerably sharing? Right? And see the ripple and the difference that has in your intimacy and in your connection.
Oh, that feels good.
I feel complete.
I feel
hot.
I'm thinking when it's like this is bringing up, I'm having a bit of PTSD from our old podcast room guys.
But it wasn't the heater. It was actually just how fucking hot it was.
How fucking hot it was. So I'm starting to feel that feeling where I'm like, I'm actually starting to feel drowsy.
Yeah.
Like this is not good.
I need fresh air.
Heat. Yeah. Like I feel claustrophobic. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling sensitive. I'm feeling like I don't want bolognese. I want something else for dinner.
We can cook pumpkin soup. You did say you wanted pumpkin soup.
Oh no, I said that because we have pumpkins. What do I want? I would like a savoury mince on toast.
I don't know the difference between bolognese and savoury mince, but I can look that up and I will do that for you.
No, I feel like bolognese tonight.
I'm going to make you savoury mince.
No, please don't. I definitely want bolognese. I feel like...
My mum is savoury mince the one with like the peas and the corn.
It's a very our parents' generation thing.
And it's like the frozen vegetables and you'd put it all in. Yeah.
It was quite a...
We used to have savoury mince on toast all the time.
Yes. I think it's quite a modest meal. It was like quite for the working class. I remember we were quite fond of the savoury mince. I just think like... On white bread with margarine.
Sometimes I think back to like how... And we do love... We could probably have this conversation off camera, but you and I love good quality food.
Yes.
We buy all organic, even for your retreats, every retreat you do.
I spend a lot of money on food. Yes. Like if you want to come to a retreat and get fed properly, come to one of my retreats.
I don't think any retreat would do all.
I've been to other retreats and they suck eggs, non-organic, barn, caged egg. That's what they suck. Because I'm like I can't compromise when I run something.
No.
Like there's no way I'm going to bring you shit. Like what about at your 29th? Like I got our the incredible Milena
from Life Harvest
in to cook for us, and it's like she cooks the best food in the world. It's
like does she get those ingredients from like the biodynamic farm?
Yeah, it's all legit, and that's like that is. Do you know you can get loaves of bread for like 99 cents?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I often think back to like and I loved the food I ate as a child, but how cheap some of the meals were. Like when we had friends over, my mum would just buy like $3 worth of chips, and a loaf of white bread. It would probably cost her $5 in total, and it would feed like many, many children.
Yeah, it's biblical.
When we have kids over, it'll be like... That's a $300 lunch for our child and 5 friends.
But that's I love that about us. I think that's the quality is super important, and I find that hilarious. And every now and like just loaves of bread are $10, $11. The gluten-free $14. We could get a loaf of bread for $1 if we could literally wow.
And that is something no matter how like financially, that's something from the beginning, even when we had very little, we were still prioritizing that.
Yeah.
We were prioritizing organic food and what went into our bodies. And that's always been important to us.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's to local organic produce.
Yes. Let's finish up. I feel like on another podcast we should retell I've been reliving our first Bali trip, and how we had no money, and the story of how we went in to get money and then we didn't have any on the card. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was like go to a yoga class.
I was literally saying that to the guys on there. I was like about like not hiding from feelings. I was like, I remember being in Bali and all you wanted to do was go to a yoga class, and I had no money. Like we didn't have any money, but I didn't have the capacity to like, you wanted something and I couldn't give it to you. And I felt so emasculated. I remember actually having to go into the feeling of being like helpless and hopeless. And we were talking about exploring, your core wounds. And I just remember being like, fuck, that was such a necessary experience for me personally.
And a yoga class in Bali was like $10 maybe. But it was just like and it was so hard being in a beautiful place that was meant to be very affordable. And we were just like, we can't do anything. That was very, very confronting. And then we went home and we moved in with my parents, and that was also
very hard,
very confronting, and also incredibly beautiful.
You're exactly where you're meant to be.
Always. We should maybe talk about that on another podcast.
I want to talk more about the spiritual concepts that we believe in. Yeah, I'm feeling like that's necessary.
I'd like that. We haven't had a podcast like this for a while where we've just bantered and touch me.
Is that how you like to be touched?
Can you ask me the question, how can I love you better?
How can I love you better?
I would like 90 minutes of body work every day. I said that to you yesterday. I'm at this stage of pregnancy where I'm like, I just want to be massaged every day. So I said to Jacob, hey, it would feel really good for me. Just one of the ways that you can support me in pregnancy if you just give me a 90-minute massage every day. Which
then turned into... could you do a shamanic drumming journey for me? But like
you were playing a drum.
But like as you do the shamanic drumming, maybe you could just put oils on me and maybe massage me as well.
How are you meant? Now I'm realizing how are you meant to do that and then everything? Yeah. It would be the drumming first. Get me into like a trance.
So I drum for like 30 to 40 minutes and then
or I think prepare my body for the drumming with the oils and the massage. That's probably a great way.
Be careful with how can I love you better if someone's really, really clear on what they want. Just make sure you are asking that.
If someone's unafraid of really claiming.
Yeah. If you're going to ask that question, be prepared to fulfill whatever answer comes through or say no and deal with the outcome there. That's a very important
And guys,
piece.
Don't do what I just did. I was just joking. Don't go to your partner. Hey, can you ask me how can you love me better? I've never done that before. Seriously. I'm just imagining. It's like your partner pisses you off and you're like, hey, my man, can you actually ask me a question? Can you ask me a question? How can I love you better right now? Just like super passive aggressive. Oh, this has been fun.
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Bless up, beautiful humans. Big love.
Soon. Love you. Bye.
Peace.